Okay. Am I audible again? Am I audible again?
Sir.
Okay. Now,
Sir.
okay. Now the thing is, now this is the basic thing we have already done. That means basic uh, basic topics about that risk, and what is the definition of risk, how the management we can do. That is basic idea we have given. Now the thing is, what is the activity you should do for the risk management? That we are going to start now. What are the activities you should follow to handle the risk? Understood? So what are the tasks you should perform for to handle that particular risk? That we are going to start now. Now, risk identification. So this is the first step you should do when you are doing risk management. This is the first step for doing, to whenever you are starting on the risk management phase. That means this is the first step you should do. What is the task? That is called risk identification. Now see, risk identification, you can understand that particular term, risk identification. That means you have to identify that risk that is happen, that will happen. You have to identify that particular risk. Okay, first you have to identify the risk, whatever you are going to happen or it happened. So both the thing is okay. If it happened, that is okay. Then how to do? Reactive. If that is not happened, that may happen, that is called proactive. That is fine. Now, first step you should do, that is risk identification. Okay, so risk identity, how we can do that particular risk identification? That means how we can understand that this is the risk, this is the risk, how we can understand that? For that, there are two ways to find out that. There are two ways to find out that. One is generic view, generic way. Second one is product specific risk, product specific way you have to find out. Now see, I'm giving again one real life example. If you think, okay, if you are going to some shopping mall, if you are going to some shopping mall, okay, fine. Then at that time, what should you think first? You are going to a shopping mall, that is your total task. Now, so you should think, okay, weather is okay, weather is very good, yeah, or bad. That you should think first. Weather is very good, then you should go. You should think. This is the risk, one risk. If weather uncertainty happens, that means if suddenly rain came, then what should be your thinking? Second risk may arise, that shopping mall is closed today. That may arise. So what should I do? So these are the risk overall you should think. Now this is generic risk, and product specific risk means now step by step you should think. So there are basically two ways to identify the risk. Okay, you can think overall about the software model, overall model you should think, and where the risk may arise, that you should think overall. General, that is generic view. Now you may think the product wise, that means the phase wise you can think. Okay, only design phase I will think, and then design phase have any risk, that should be listed out. And if coding phase, only coding phase, if this risk arise, then I should list out. This is called product specific. Fine, fine, everyone fine? This is, so how we can identify that risk? One way is generic risk, that means overall risk you should identify. And second one is product specific, that means if you are developing any particular phase, you are working on particular phase, How, what are the risks you can identify? That is the product specific risk. Fine. This thing is okay. This thing is very okay. Yes, no. This thing is okay. Tell me. Any problem?
No,
Is the
sir.
thing okay? Okay. Now, after identification, what you should do? See, first step is your identify the possible risk. That means the risk is will be identified. So now, what you should do then? Then create item checklist. What is create item checklist? Please try to understand. Now I am writing something. Now see, you have to make one checklist, and then this is risk one. Risk one. This is risk one. Then again, you have to take checklist. One checklist. This is risk two. Risk two. Risk three in this way. Risk three. Risk four in this way. All the risk you should identify and make a checklist. Why checklist needed? Because after whenever you are handling that risk, at that time, first risk you should take consideration, that is handled, that is handled. In this way we should do the management. So first what you should do, identify the steps, identify the possible risk, and then create a checklist. Fine. This thing is very okay. This thing is very okay. Yes, no. Is the thing very okay? Yes, no. Tell me, is there any problem? Risk identity, this is very easy thing. This is very easy topic actually. So what you should do, first you should identify the possible risk, and then you should create a checklist in this way. Then what should you do? You should categorize that. Okay, after that, this risk comes under cost risk. So that's why this comes under CO, cost risk, CR, cost risk. This risk too comes under support risk. So that you should do, give this particular way, support risk. In this way, in this way you should categorize all this risk. Fine. And step 4 is you should give one 4 categories. That means, see, if that risk is very negligible effect, this first risk maybe, so now we have to understand how much effect that can happen from this risk. Okay, first risk, how it happens, it generally does not affect so much. That's why I have given 0 here. So that thing I should give that like this. So 0, this is 2, this is 3, this is again 1. So in this way, that means this is very negligible. This risk does not affect on your system. This risk is critical, very critical. 2 I have given. That means this risk is very critical, very critical. I should think that 3 means this is very, very tough to handle. Okay, catastrophic. This is very, very tough to handle. So that's why risk 3, I should think very concentratedly in this particular risk. So I should give the factor weightage. We can give weightage of those risk. That is your task inside the risk identification. Fine. This thing is very okay. Risk identification phase. Is the thing very okay? Yes, no. Is the thing very okay? Yes, no, please tell me.
Yes, sir.
So this thing first you have to complete. So in risk identification, there are 4 tasks. One is identify the possible risk, and then checklist you should make. And in this way, after doing checklist, you should categorize that particular risk that comes under which type of risk it is, and how this affects on the project. That you should do next. That is fine. Now, what should I do? Risk projection. In this risk projection, please see, very, very interesting it is, and that is the last topic I will discuss today, risk projection. Now see, in this risk projection, again, risk projection means, see, Now this risk projection already happened. That means this probability of risk happened. Now see, probability of the risk is real. That means this particular risk will arise or not, how much probability it is, how much probability it have that it really happens. Okay, that calculation I should do here. Okay, that means if risk one, I'm thinking about the risk one, how much probability that have that risk will arise definitely. If it is 80%, that means definitely there is a chance for that particular risk. So how many chance is there, how much chance is there to make that particular risk will arise or not. So this particular thing is called risk projection. Fine, this thing is okay, this thing is okay, this thing is okay, everyone. Risk projection means how much probability it have that it will happen really. So that you have to calculate next. Now see, risk projection, see, estimate all these risk and calculate probability. That means if all the risk are 20 and within that 5 is definitely arise. If you are thinking, that means probability is 5 divided by 15. Probability you can understand. So that calculation here you should do, and then you have to make a risk table. That's why I have given here. Make a risk table, draw a risk table. Here you can see here. Draw a risk table. So what is risk table? Risk table have basically inside the projection, inside risk projection, we have risk table. Now see, what is risk table? I have given one example risk table. Now you should understand what is the thing this risk table has. There are the risks we have listed out. Fine, these are the risks we have. Is the category, it is a cost, or it is a sorry, that is support risk, or it is a project risk, or it is a known risk. So every possibility is the category we have. That category, this particular risk comes under which category, that I have listed out here, and this is the probability I have calculated from that particular risk projection. Fine. So in this risk projection, what we will do, we will finalize that how much particular probability have the risk will definitely arise. Now see, this means lack of training on tools. This has 80% probability. That means this risk definitely will arise. And see, if it has larger number of users than planned, it has 30% probability. That means this particular thing may not arise, but impact is very high. Impact is very high. Impact means, see, that impact, sorry, this is reverse way. This particular table I have given negligible 0, marginal 1, that, but in that table they have used reversely. That means negligible they have thinking that is 3 category. See here, they have given negligible, it is have 4. Okay, marginal it has 3, critical it has 2, catastrophic it has 1. That means most highest impact it has catastrophic 1. That means which have one impact, that is very highest impact on that particular. If this risk will arise, then definitely some loss may arise. That's why we should think about this particular risk first. This is very high impact, but still chance is 30%. So depending on these two factors, we are deciding that which risk is more appropriate to handle. Thing is very okay now? Thing is very okay now? Yes, no? Thing is very okay? Yes, no? Please tell me. This is very easy thing. Risk table you understood? Risk table you understood? Yes, no? Please tell me. I will finish here. Okay, so what we have done two tasks. In risk handling, only 2 tasks I have already done. That is, one is pre-risk identification. Risk identification we have to identify, and then we have to categorize that. and impact also I should give on that particular risk. So that is your risk identification. Now projection means we have to calculate that particular probability of that risk will be real. So that is risk projection. After doing projection, we have to make one risk table. So in risk table, this factor is we are giving. That means all the risk I have taken here, taken into my consideration, and risk, how much probability it has, that means how much probability it have that it will arise or not, and what the impacts this particular risk have, that I have calculated here in this risk table. So from this risk table I can very clearly identify which risk is more identifiable and which risk I should consider first. From this risk table we can easily identify, after analyzing this risk table, we have easily identify that which risk among those we should concentrate first. Here this has 80% chance and the impact is 2, that means there is also very high critical. That's why we should think this risk first. That thing you should understand from this risk table. Fine, up to this is very okay. Then we should go for risk refinement, and it will go risk refinement and this particular mitigation, monitoring and management. Next day, tomorrow I will do this too, and then I will finish the task, finish the chapter. Fine. Up to risk table we have completed today. Can I stop here? Is the thing okay? Hello, tell me, any problem? Anyone please take the attendance. Please take the attendance. Anirudh. Anirudh, roll number 1.
Sir, I logged in from laptop, sir.
Okay. You have from laptop. Okay, you have joined from laptop. Anyone have
Yes, sir.
Kritin? Do you using phones, mobile phones or laptop?
I will send you, sir.
Okay, you will send me. Fine. Okay, thank you.